cat in the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
Do you ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Oh, great. Thanks, Mother, for replacing the baby aspirin with LSD.
All right, welcome in, boys and girls. It's you from C-Deck after a nice 20-point easy win. Easy cover, everything. Right, Casey? Ohio State takes down the Terps, as per usual, in Ohio Stadium. Wasn't as easy as it sounded, though, and I'm sure about halftime, you, like me, had your butt cheeks clenched about it's tight, making a diamond, and we're ready to just scream and ruin people's birthday parties. At least I was. So what did you think Saturday, though, as the clock wound down at the end, I guess we'll say?
As the clock ran down at the end, I just thought it was funny. Like, if you didn't actually watch the game, you look at the box score, you think Cord had himself a hell of a day.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say his second half was obviously significantly better. But even his good plays were not so good. That person, he literally had to stop wide open and come back to the ball. That, like C.J. Stroud, that's a 90-yard touchdown.
Easy.
And then again to Fleming. Fleming had to come back to the ball on like the 5-yard line or something, and he dove. That should have been a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But then he pulls out the best throw of the season, dropping a bucket over the shoulder to Marvin on the sideline. That was freaking beautiful. So all in all, by the end of the game, I was fine. But I will say, you know me, I'm the most optimistic glass half full fan in the world. And even I, when it's 10-10 and they come out and score right away, and the way our running game is, I was nervous.
The running game, at this point, I think it is what it is. Coming out of the bye week, if you haven't fixed what's been ailing you, you're not going to get a chance to really work on it. So I think it is without Travion in, and so for our picks, I had the over based on history more than anything. But I texted you before the game. I'm like, when you told me Travion was out, I was like, well, now I'm leaning towards the under because I was starting to lean towards the under anyway. It was just the way that I thought the game might go with their short passing game being able to stay on the field. But once Travion was out, I was like, ooh, our home run threat's gone. We may not be able to run the ball at all. And we really couldn't. And for those of you that have been, if there are them out there that think Chip is somehow better than Travion this year, which I don't know what you've been watching, but hopefully you enjoyed that 3.6 yards of carry we got with our running backs, and 3.1 yards per carry from Chip. Okay, yeah, Travion's the best running back on this team. It's not close, and this offense is much worse without him on the field. Now, my butt cheeks clenched. Defense isn't even playing that great. They're missing tackles in the first half. We have the disaster fake punt. It wasn't actually a fake punt. It was a bad snap. You're right. Now, what are the odds you think of that bad of a snap going directly to the up back, though?
I don't know. I didn't even see it. Like, normally I watch literally every play, but you know how it is with kids. So, like, I have to pick and choose when I go and get their water or whatever. And I come back, I'm like, what the hell happened? And then I hear them, like, Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt saying, was that a fake? But Klatt kept saying throughout the game it wasn't a fake. It was a botched snap. But then I get people texting me like it was a fake. So I didn't know what was that. That was disaster. Put us in a terrible. We just gifted him 7 points.
Yeah, the snap itself, it looked like he was like just trying to like float it, like he was trying to aim too hard to the up back, so he ended up floating it. That's how. How is that supposed to be like a real snap? I don't understand how that even happens. I mean, not that I long snapped ever, but I know I could probably do at least exactly that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the offense, though, the running game is just a disaster the whole game. You're right. McCord, first half is as bad as I've ever seen him. It's like he can't see anything. He can't hit anything on time. Everything's late. Like you said, even the bomb that he hits that kind of jumpstarts the offense in the second half to Marv is 3 seconds too late by the time it gets there, and should have been an easy touchdown. So, I'm worried, and he's also checking it like he's missing the open guys, or he's late on his throws, or he's just checking it down immediately, and we're not moving the ball at all in the first half. And our only touchdown, Josh Proctor finally comes through with a big pick six, which we talked about before. I was like, Talia, just has this penchant in these big games to throw pick sixes, and he just did it. Yeah, defense overall though, with that they score in the first half. They give up some points this game, but they're set in a bad situation on the opening touchdown drive. And other than that, they play pretty well. They missed a lot of tackles though. At time, the linebackers, obviously Eichenberg misses a huge tackle in the game. But other than that, they finally got to the quarterback in the second half, especially. JT gets the goose egg away from his sack column finally, gets 1.5 sacks. Made a huge play on a fourth down, too, even though he didn't make the tackle. It looks similar to all the box scores we've had this year. They're not dominating, but they're not giving up anything.
Exactly. And I'll take that all year long if it continues. I've texted you and a couple of my buddies. I think we can beat Scum and Penn State, but it's going to be very similar to like the Notre Dame score we do. It'll be 17-13.
What'll be tough though is if this offense plays like that against Scum, we're gonna be down 17 at halftime because if they can get good field position all day, and their offense is good enough, like we can't deal with that. Real quick hit on Mike Loxley's decision at the end of the first half. They're tied at 10, and they're getting the ball for a second half.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, and this is after they also failed around the 30 earlier in the game, the second drive, to go for it on a 4th and 1. They get stuffed. See, it's not that easy, guys. I watched the Chiefs today trying to put away a game against the Minnesota Vikings. Go 3rd and 1, run it, and they couldn't get it. Are the Chiefs soft and can't win? Let's get rid of that. It's hard to do when people know you're going to do it. Anyway, that aside, they get down with like 13, 14 seconds left.
Something like that, yeah.
Inside our 20-yard line, and throw a pass, decide to call a pass play, and for whatever reason, Talia checks down in the middle of the field, and they get stopped and they can't get off another play, which saves us 3 points, but also cost me the over in this game.
I could not believe it. Yeah, I thought, worst case scenario, just chuck it out the back of the end zone. But you have to throw it at least to the end zone, or if not, obviously to the sideline. He didn't do either of those, and it was like guaranteed into half, no matter what happened there.
This is a 3-year starter here. You should know better at this point.
Really, the receiver should have dropped it.
Oh yeah, that would have been a great play by him. Just swatted down. Yeah, it's just another rash of these college teams and these coaches just not being able to manage the game or the clock. I mean, you know better than most what happened in the Miami and Georgia Tech game, since you had some money riding on that one. And Mario Cristobal not kneeling it out. It's just game after game after game. These coaches just keep leaving points on the board through their own stupidity and not being able to, like the clock is short. You're in a close game. You're getting the ball first. Why wouldn't you just go kick it then? I mean, that's almost like where I'm at. Like, it's like us against Penn State last year. The risk reward at that point from where you're at on the field is just too high to just not just go ahead and just kick it.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I think they wasted a timeout earlier as well. If they would have had more, that would have been, obviously humongous.
Yeah, they did. They did. I mean, that's every college coach, though. They love burning timeouts. Second half, though, for the Buckeyes, after that, you think that would just flip the momentum. Maryland comes down and just marches down the field due to the missed tackles mainly on that drive. And but then we finally opened it up on offense, start hitting big pass plays. Obviously, Marv just goes nuts and shows that he's the alien that he is and why he's going to be the top wide receiver taken in the draft. I was starting to wonder about that a little bit. I was like, he didn't have a good game against Indiana or Notre Dame. Maybe he slips down some draft boards, but then you just see that and you're like, never mind. That's the best player in college football, maybe.
Yeah. Yep. I will say, I think you touched on it earlier. It just shows you how good Trey is, because the run game, I kept thinking it's going to pick up, and it just never did. And I think he makes that terrible offensive line and run game basically look mediocre and not terrible.
Right, because he's got the threat going at least. I mean, I've hammered it a million times. It's hard to run the ball in this spread offense with a statue quarterback, with a quarterback that's not a running threat. It just is and will continue to be. So
I kept waiting, and Saban, who is not even debatably the greatest college football coach of all time, he came off the field. I don't know exactly the quote, but it was something along the lines of, if you can't run the ball, stop trying to run the ball. And what he did, and they won because they couldn't run against Texas A&M. So eventually, like, what's the point of running on first down if you're only going to gain 1, maybe 2 yards? Freaking throw it. Have an easy 4 or 5 yards. Have 2nd and 5, then you can run it.
I'm better with running it on first down and getting the 2nd and 8 versus the running it on 2nd down and getting the 3rd and 9.
I get, true.
Right. And at least you're for sure running some clock then. But yeah, it may be time to just. It is what it is. Like I said, at this point, if you haven't fixed it, we struggle on 3rd down again, 2, 3 for 12, terrible. Because we're in these long situations, though. A lot of times we're not being successful on these early running downs, and Trey's not going to really fix all that. Like what he does is bring the threat of the big play. Like he turns these 4 or 5 yard gains when it's blocked right into 30 or 20, 30, 60 yard gains. And that's because we're not. I just don't see a consistent push ever happening with this O-line. Like maybe they could surprise me, but I think we would have seen it at this point. And it's just not maybe in the cards. And I think it's just talent deficiency at tackle positions, and maybe the interiors. Something's off with this zone scheme, though. I guess is the best way to put it. Like they're just not blocking. They're not getting the 2nd level at all. So it's just unless you got a stud back there that can just burn everybody with the speed naturally, you're not going to. Doesn't matter who else is back there. So we'll see if they move on. And we're ready to move on, I guess, to the House of Horrors for the Buckeye fans. I know the only way I know if you're a real Buckeye fan is if you're worried this week. Because if you're not a real Buckeye fan. Ohio State travels to West Lafayette to Purdue. Casey, you usually have your guy likes to put a percentage on your winning confidence. Where are you at this week? Go into the House of Horrors.
Oh, man. I mean, they're not good this year is the only reason it's higher than it normally would be. But I'm pretty sure – what's their record against us in the past 15 years? They have, like, a winning record against us, don't they?
No, they're like 3-5. Oh, no. Oh, at West Lafayette, we're like 3-5. They're close to having – they're not a winning record against us, but they never beat us here. But we're 2-4 since Holy Buckeye. Holy Buckeye, that we all remember, 2002, we are 2-4 in West Lafayette. So, but Day is 1-0 with a 56-0 win in 2019 with obviously one of the best teams we've ever had.
So to answer your question, like it's Purdue, like on paper, this should 90 to 95%, if not higher, but it's probably more like 80 for me.
I'm at like a 95. I mean, I'd be stunned if we lose this game. Just because Purdue is that bad this year. Their 2 wins are against Virginia Tech and Illinois, which sounds good on paper until you see that they're both absolutely terrible this year. Illinois, they may be the worst team in the Big Ten West this year. They may be worse than Northwestern. And Virginia Tech is probably the worst team in the ACC. They've been getting destroyed by everybody. So, and they're statistically not horrible offensively. They are wretched defensively, though, giving up 380 yards per game. And a lot of that's on the ground. I mean, 153 on the ground, 226 through the air. As long as the weather's not bad, but we've had some windstorms, going through West Lafayette. And right now, I don't think there's anything. Yeah, it's 56 and partly cloudy, nothing crazy going on there. We're 20-point favorites, though. 51.5 is the over-under, though. That's pretty low. But I'm with you. I'm starting to lean towards the under on all of our games.
I am. The only way I'm not going to is if they have a terrible defense, which Purdue kind of does, because the only time we've hit an over is Western Kentucky when we just freaking scored at will against them, and we basically hit the over by ourselves. Because I don't see Purdue scoring many points. So if we hold them to 10, that means we'd have to score 45 to cover the over.
42.
It's
51.5.
51. Wow.
Yep. Low.
That is real. That's probably the lowest of the year. They keep.
Yeah, it might have been. Because Notre Dame was like 54 or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I guess maybe this is the time where I'd hit the over, but I'm not going to bet on either one of them for real.
My over-under, I guess I had some success this week with them, but it's not been my best bets. I might lay that 20, though. It seems like Vegas does our last two games, it's been a combined 0.5 off the spread, so they've been as close as they can be. They have us nailed. A 21-point victory. I mean, I would be surprised if it's less than 21, even with being on the road. The only problem is, though, it's at Purdue, 2-4. Obviously, everyone remembers the 49-20 beatdown we took in 2018, which this offense reminds me a lot of, only way less powerful on the passing game. But, can't run the ball because of the immobile quarterback and some O-line issues, run blocking. And, that was scary, but it's not at night. There's no cancer kids around that I know of. Tom Rinaldi's not going to be at this game. It's a Peacock game, NBC. Wait, he doesn't work for NBC now, does he? Pretty sure he's on Fox. Now. So no cancer kids. I think Ohio State, I like that, 42-10. They just hit the over, just barely. I think we wear them out, though. They're just a bad team. I think we want to look sharp going into Penn State, but we could get caught looking ahead easily. It would not shock me. One thing about that Maryland game, you said it looks like it if you look at it, it looks like we dominated just from the box score. But if you also look at it, it looks like a typical team coming off a bye week is rusty in the first half and then gets better as the game goes on.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's what it was. And the second half is the real Buckeyes, and they come out and carry that over to the first half and put Purdue away early. Because I'm going to be out in West Virginia during this game on vacation. I don't need any Purdue magic going on.
I will say I don't want to take too much away from Maryland. I mean, they might just be a good – it's hard to say because –
they're talented for sure.
They're talented. I mean, they're undefeated before they played us. They hadn't really played anybody, but, I mean, they gave us a fight for sure. So, I mean, we'll see. If they win one of the Penn State or Michigan games, then we'll know they're for real. I don't see that happening. They'll probably get 9-3. But for the Purdue game, it's going to be tight. If we look ahead, we might not break 40, but I think our defense is going to travel no matter what, and probably hold them to 10. So I'm gonna say we cover, but I'm not confident at all in the over. But I will say, I don't want to say the exact same score as you. I'll say 38-10.
Okay. I guess a big thing that will that this over or under will hinge on is Travion playing, which it sounds like he wasn't hurt. It sounds like it's maybe because he went through pre-games, and thank goodness he did because the bookies didn't quite get on it, and I was able to get really good odds on a chip train and touchdown. The Ohio State starting running back, if they ever have plus 200 or more on a touchdown against a bad defense or basically not Michigan or Penn State, go ahead and put some big money on that because you're never going to get those kind of odds. But anyway, sounds like it may be a disciplinary thing or whatever it isn't that severe. So I would expect to see him this week, but you don't want him coming in rusty against Penn State.
Yeah, man, I don't know. You know how Day is with these freaking press conferences. I'm sure we won't learn a goddamn thing.
About Ibuka as well. Forgot to mention that, him getting injured.
Yeah.
Well, whatever he says, don't believe. Like, don't listen to it. You do not know.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I hedged again. I shied away from betting on Marv this weekend because of he came out and said his ankle was worse than it was all last year. So I'm like, maybe that he's just going to be a decoy or something. Like, I know we played Jackson last year when we shouldn't have.
Mm.
And then he reheard it. But, man, he was 100% obviously. He looked like a stud. So, hopefully Ibuka just kind of tweaked it and they didn't want to risk it, and he'll be full go next week. But, honestly, Travion's probably more important than Ibuka. I can't believe I'm saying that. But
I mean, I think it's no doubt. I think we got guys behind Ibuka that can step up. I don't think – I mean, Travion's the only guy we have that's like Travion at running back that can hit the home runs. We got solid – also, Brian Williams lowering the boom on that kid on the last drive, trying to get that over for us. God, I don't understand why he's not getting any run this year. To be honest, yeah, not that I hate Trainum or anything, but I'm like, why not give them both a shot, see who's hotter that game. But I know Trainum's part of their fullback package too, so that's probably what it is.
I heard something that he was in the doghouse because apparently they make agreements with the coaches that they'll be under a certain weight or they won't go over a certain weight, and he went over it.
Back in the meatball mode, huh?
Yeah. I don't know. I was kind of surprised we didn't see Hayden at all because he took over.
I heard on the pregame show, this is from Tim May, that it's kind of been agreed upon and as part of a plan that he's just redshirting this year. I mean, he's still playing 4 games, but that's what Tim May said on the pregame show.
So maybe he'll fight for the job next year.
Right. Sounds like they're trying to keep an extra year open for him. Maybe for even if it's a transfer or whatever. I just don't. Basically, we're not going to see down Hayden this year unless we have a rash of injuries like we did last year, and a big rash of injuries.
Has he played at all yet?
He played against Indiana, but it was only like 3 snaps.
So he could play. We could save him until scum, potentially.
We could, but I don't think that's what the plan is. Doesn't sound like it. All right. So you are going under and the cover though for this week. I'm going over and cover again. Sounds like a broken record here.
Gonna go cover.
All right. As we always do at the end of these podcasts, this past week make you more or less confident in the Buckeyes being a national championship team?
I mean, I guess you kind of have to say less. Just how bad they looked in the first half. I mean, that was one of the worst first half of football I've seen from an Ohio State team. At least just specifically the offense, I guess. The defense didn't look bad in the first half. They got a pick 6, so can't be that bad. But I gotta say it goes down a little bit.
Oh, I'm thinking my percentage is very low now, and this made it go lower because I think I just want to see what we fix in the bye week, and the answer is not what we needed to fix. That I think just the odds say us beating both Penn State and Scum are low now, just because we can't run the ball when we need to, unless we just happen to hit some home runs. It could happen, but it just seems very unlikely that we can pull off the double there. And without pulling off the double, who knows if we even make the playoff the way this season's going already. Although Texas losing probably helps us, but Oklahoma should easily run the table the rest of their schedule. So I think one of those teams is getting in. So just us getting to the playoffs is going to be hard. And once we get there, can we keep up with these other high-powered offenses that we're going to see? Our defense is good, but we've seen good defenses get torched in the playoffs lately because good offense beats good defense still. So we'll see. But it's just something I'm not seeing right now anymore. But I'm in trestle ball mode. I told you that all year, and I am totally there. Let's just keep winning and hope it just keeps happening until the end of the year.
I will say I'm kind of more of a wait and see now because we're winning, right? And it's not the only even close win at all was Notre Dame, who lost this weekend, so that's not looking as good. But their schedule's freaking brutal. Oh,
that was a scheduled loss right there. Like the back-to-backs in the NBA where you travel super far. That's a scheduled loss. Not that anybody's trying to, and then they got freaking USC this week.
Yeah, but I guess what I was getting at is we haven't looked great a couple of times, but we haven't looked terrible for the entire game. We usually at least play one really good half. So just kind of wait and see. If we beat Penn State, then all of a sudden I'm going to be right back up there.
Yeah, man, that's good. My only question will end it on this. How low would they have to set the over-under for you to actually go over?
Oh, my God. Probably 38.
That's exactly the number I had. Oh, my God. You're in my brain. Exactly the number. 20-17 seems like the highest it could be in that game.
Yeah.
Just the way both defenses are and both offenses are right now. All right. Just wanted to see what you said. But glad we're in this weird ESP. But thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, comment, share. Do whatever you can to get us some more views. And we will see you guys next time.
Hey, guys.
Oh, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
A rich man's world.